go around to each room and open up the hyperlink now.
Test.
Extra batteries.
Okay. Yeah. That's awesome. Check 1, 2. Mic check.
Something different on this screen so I know it's working.
Not right now. It'll work.
Is it already set up? So did you do the live
Just
conference?
all you gotta do is double click that hyperlink and then click on the video. There'll be a video there at the very front. So click that. Check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Mic check 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Mic check. Mic check 1, 2.
I had some extras in case anyone needed one.
Okay, we're going to get started with our lunchtime programming. I don't know about you, but I have had 2 great sessions this morning, and I really am excited about what the afternoon is going to present for us. We are going to move to our lunchtime programming, and I would like to ask Dr. Gansel to come and introduce our speaker for this afternoon.
Thank you, Karen. It's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today. It's Dr. Alex Gerassimides, right? Yes. And Alex, I'm really looking forward to her message. I've known her for a long time. She was a graduate of Berea College and then was a graduate of our School of Medicine. She went on to do a very prestigious pediatrics residency at Brown University and then a pathology residency here at the University of Louisville. She is currently a pediatric, actually a neonatal pathologist. And I vaguely, somebody pushed the wrong button. I hear a lot of noise going on. So she's still incredibly active. You know, I remember her as a student as being extraordinarily bright, very focused, very articulate, and truly passionate about the community. And those characteristics have served her well in all of her roles, including her role as a pediatric and neonatal pathologist, her role as an active advocate in the community. She serves on several boards, including the Governor's Scholars, the Virginia Chance School, the Jefferson County Public Schools Council, the Lincoln Foundation, and I think I'm probably missing something, that the Council on Interfaith Relations, so just lots and lots of wonderful things. She also works very closely alongside her husband, Mayor Greg Fisher. She's the mom of 2 sons and 2 daughters between 20 and 26, and we were sharing stories about that. So I really am looking forward to hearing her message, and I think we're incredibly fortunate to have her here. She's going to be talking with us about the importance of community engagement and volunteerism and the impact that has on a community and on our citizens. So, Alex?
Thank you, Dr. Gansel. So I have to share my story about Dr. Gansel. I first met her when I was a senior student. She was a young faculty, and to that point, I had not had any contact with any female surgeons. So here's this first female surgeon. So not only was she smart, but she was funny, and she was a kick-ass dresser. So that was like, oh, God, there's hope for all of us, right? And the other person I want to give a shout out to is James Zeta Ferguson, who I have also known for a long time when I worked at the pathology department at U of L. And she, with her quiet grace, was shepherding the department through some rough waters. And at the time, I didn't know about her other secret life as a pastor and all the wonderful community work that she does. So thank you, James Zeta. So today, and Old Home Week, here's my former colleagues right there from U of L. So I'm here to speak about something that's important to me and to the mayor, and that is volunteerism, or in the broader spectrum, broader context, compassion. So when Greg was elected in the fall of 2010, and he was planning his inaugural speech, he was going to talk about the 3 pillars that are guiding him as mayor. And the first pillar is to make the city a healthier city, and that means both physical, mental, and spiritual health. The second pillar was for the city to be a city of lifelong learners, and there's a lot of work going on there. And then the third pillar was to make Louisville an even more compassionate city. So he saw that Louisville is exceptional in its compassion, but he wanted to put an exclamation point on that. So when he talked about that, people were like, oh, I don't know, that might make you seem, that's kind of squishy, and people might think you're weak, and the city, but it has turned out to be a great thing. For 4 years in a row, the Charter of Compassion has named Louisville the most compassionate city. And so what does that mean? So there have been initiatives started, including Give a Day Week, which is the week that precedes Derby Festival. And during that week, the city facilitates with the United Way acts of volunteerism. So people who want to volunteer and people who need volunteers can hook up together during that week. And this year, there were 175,000 acts of compassion, which was incredible, even more than every other year. So the value of being a compassionate city is that it builds social muscle. So when something happens, the city is not scrambling to get it together, because we already know each other and we can work together. So an example that just happened recently in the fall, I don't know if you remember, there was an act of vandalism at the Islamic Center on River Road. So a call went out for people to come and help paint over the graffiti that had been spray painted. So on that Friday afternoon, almost 1,000 people showed up to paint that. So, that was an incredible response. So that's an illustration of the value of compassion on a citywide level. So from my own experience, I know that there's personal value when you extend yourself into the community. Now, you are already medical professionals, so the nature of your work is compassion. So you support people who are in the medical profession, and you teach people who are in the medical profession, and so you are already heavily involved. But as Dr. Gansel has emphasized throughout her own career, it's important to get out in the community and share, if you have any time, talent, and treasure, to share it there as well. And then that in turn makes you a better citizen, and then it also makes you a better practitioner of what you're doing at work. The value of service work is something I learned at an early age at home, like most of you probably have. My parents were Greek immigrants, and they had come here. They had a language barrier, but they volunteered at school, at the PTA and in the classroom. And one year I volunteered them to make 30 cat costumes for my second grade musical. So our house had fluff in it for months after that, from stuffing the tails. They were also active in our church and in the Greek community East Chicago, Indiana. That's where I grew up. And then even though my dad was a steel worker, somehow they budgeted and he sent money back to Greece regularly and care packages to our relatives who weren't lucky enough to come to the United States. So I grew up seeing people do that. And then I went to Berea, as Dr. Gansel mentioned. And Berea, for those of you who don't know, was founded in the 1800s by John Fee. And the purpose of it, so it was the 1800s, and he wanted people to get college education, whether they were black or white. So that was pretty radical back then. And the school today continues to have a vision where the world is shaped by love over hate, human dignity and equality, and peace with justice. So there I was challenged to find causes and make commitments and translate the commitments into action. They were very supportive in helping me attain my dream of getting into medical school. So I'll always be grateful to Berea for that. So after med school, I got married and had 4 kids. So now I feel like I just recently came out of the cave of child rearing. So I didn't watch much news or read any whole books, just quick snatches of articles. So during the time when the kids were little, the volunteerism was crafted around what we could do together. So it would be food drives or walks for a cause or stuff at school or volunteering at our church festival. Now today, the nest is a little less full, so I have more time, so I can serve on many boards. And what I found about volunteering is that, one, it makes you feel like you have more time, because even though that doesn't make sense because you're using your time to volunteer, but you somehow become better organized and you have more time than you knew. So that's one plus. It has helped me develop my critical thinking skills and other skills because I'm exposed to people from other professions and get to see how they think and what they do. And they're all very interesting. So that. This, I don't know for sure, but I have read this, that if you spend a lot of time volunteering, it leads to better physical and mental health. So people who are big-time volunteers live longer and have less incidence of depression. So I'm hoping that is true. And then finally, this professionally, it applies more to younger people than it would to me. But if you are a volunteer and it's on your resume, potential future employers see you as a very high capacity employee. So I was asked to also talk about how to find time for volunteerism. So the truth is there's no one answer for everyone. You have to figure out what's right for you at whatever stage you are in life. So you can do small things like check in on your neighbor if there's a snowstorm coming or if the power is out. You can donate shoes to Water Step. You can do bigger things like be on a board and volunteer to be the chair, or you can go on a mission trip to Ecuador like after an earthquake. So there are lots and lots of things you can do. If you don't know how to get started, there are the internet is a great place to start. The city's website has the Give a Day is on there, and this Compassion office has a phone number that's on the city's website. And then the United Way also has a way to match your skills to volunteer positions that are open. So it's important to pick something that is a good fit for you. Like if you're squeamish at the sight of blood, you shouldn't volunteer at the Red Cross, right? So something that you're passionate about. And then when you find something, you need to treat it seriously, like it is your job. So if you say, I'm going to be there on Saturday, like you need to be there on Saturday. And then if you have a skill that you want to share, that's another way to do it, because the nonprofits are always happy to have someone with skills like to organize fundraising or to manage events for them, or they're always always looking for talent. So the amount of service work, the type that you do, again, fluctuates with your life phase, and it is important just to have it as a priority. I know that doing service work has made me a better person, a better spouse, and a better mother because of the exposure and the experiences that have enriched my life. So on behalf of my husband and our city, I want to thank you for the service that you already do, and I want to encourage you to keep it up. And then in the words of Louisville's most famous citizen, Muhammad Ali, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. So thank you. And I'll stick around if anyone has any questions. I'll be right here. Yes.
One of the sessions today was on work-life balance. So knowing what you do, practicing, the psychologists are active on and then you also work alongside the nutrition. What are some of the tips that you would have to the rest of us in making that yours kind of intersects, they're not silos, they're Venn diagrams.
So one of the hardest things is to take some time for yourself to keep your sanity. So like for me, it's, I hate to even say it in public, playing Candy Crush for 20 minutes a day. So during which time I'm meditating. So one, like taking care of yourself because so many people end up depending on you. So like if you go down, that's not a good thing. So that, and then just saying no to things that, like being able, because of course whenever someone asks me to do something, I want to say yes, because that's our nature, right? But if I know that it doesn't serve them well if I say yes and then do a half-assed job. So that's another thing. And then just deciding that this is the way it's, like these are my priorities and this is how it's going to be. So yeah, those three things. Right. Okay. Sure.
We're glad you said yes to us.
So we want to thank you. I had the hardest time learning to say your name. Gerassimides? Yay. Oh. In a follow-up to the wonderful remarks that we heard today, I want to make the staff aware of a community engagement assessment that we're going to do here in the School of Medicine. We know that we have lots of individuals who work in the School of Medicine and a lot of the staff who work in the School of Medicine who are engaged in the community already. And so we're wanting to get a better understanding of the kinds of ways that our staff are engaged in the community, how much time you spend, and what talents you have in that context so that we can begin to connect you if you're a Girl Scout leader and you're a Boy Scout leader, we want the Scout leaders to know about each other. If you're a ball team coach and you're a tennis team coach, we want the coaches to know about each other so that we can help magnify your skill sets in your roles as volunteers in the community. So you'll be seeing the community engagement assessment come out, and we'd love to have you respond and encourage your coworkers to respond so that we can get a good sense of how we as a school are engaged in the community. And that works in a number of other goals that we have going on. So look forward to that. Yes?
Mention a few words about our Compassion School of Medicine and the
Yes, but I don't talk about it nearly as passionately as you do. So can I engage you in that? I would love to have you because, yes, this is exciting, actually.
So we didn't think that Mayor Fisher's approach of wanting to make the city more compassionate was squishy at all. We just thought that was terrific. And compassion is so fundamental to what we do in caring for patients, in educating our students, in caring for our staff, in caring for one another. I think what we had done, though, was in some ways taken a little bit of a narrow view of compassion and really thought about it strictly in being compassionate to our patients. But really it is about much more than that. And I think that's one of the things that the Mayor's Compassionate Louisville initiative brought home to us, which is it's really also about being compassionate to one another and compassionate to ourselves. We know that in healthcare that provider stress and burnout is a real issue. And we also know that intentional compassion, intentional and being mindful and practicing mindful practices helps nurture that compassion and helps mitigate the stress and examples of burnout. So we love the Compassionate Louisville program, and we signed on as the first School of Medicine compassionate school, signing our resolution. That was followed shortly by the law school, which was just wild, because I got a text from Susan Duncan, the dean of the law school, and she said, "How did you guys do this in the School of Medicine? I'm getting some pushback." I said, "How could anybody push back on compassion?" But I think it's all in the way you define it, because they had defined it differently than we did. And so for us, it wasn't about your political views or your ideology. It was just about caring, and that's what we do. So we are really grateful to Mayor Fisher, and we are so proud to be partnering with the city on this. And I've talked about this partnership at several national meetings, and people come up and they just go, "That is so incredible what you guys are doing in Louisville." And sometimes I think that we start to take for granted that what we do, well, isn't everyone doing that? No, everyone is not doing that. And so I think it's just another reason to be really proud of our community. So thanks.
Dr. Gerassimides, we just want to thank you for taking your time today, and I know you had to establish some priorities to be able to be here, and so we appreciate that we became one of your priorities on today, and we want to just take the time to present you with a small token of appreciation, and I know how you are about that, but we want to give this to you and say thank you.
I would do anything for you, James Zetta.
Thank you. The first time I really knew Dr. Gerassimides' commitment was for the community. I went to her church, St. Michael's Orthodox Church, and it was located over off of, was it 6th Street? little church, and they hosted the German festival. And I went over there, and she was making pastries, and there were pastries all around the kitchen, and I asked her, I said, so who makes these? And she said, I'm in here making them, and she was just doing it. And so it's just been a privilege to be in relationship with you, and I thank you for what you're doing. Not only on a personal level and what you have done for me and our faith community, but what you're doing in this community as well. Thank you. Let's show her some appreciation. We are preparing for lunch right now, so if you can give us about 5 more minutes. But in the meantime, it's time to do some more door prizes. And so we're going to ask Karen if you will come up and assist us. You got your tickets? And y'all know the drill, right? When the wheel is turning, you're supposed to... Woo! All right, so Karen? Okay, you do that. So you can find it on spin.
it's you. Yay! I'll take the bucket and you spin the wheel. All right.
Is that 4? We need 3 more.
3 more. All right. 3, 6, 5. 3, 6, 5. 300. Oh, yay! Spin the wheel of good fortune. 26. Uh-oh, the stuff down there is good stuff. My God.
Mega Cavern.
All right, so then 394. 39. Oh, come on. Spin the wheel. Big wheels keep on turning. And these are.
Here you go.
One more. Drum roll, please. 321. That's me. Spin the wheel. Run it off the rail. 25.
25, 25, 25, 25, 25. Okay.
Let's see, which one do I want?
How about spinning again?
Oh, thank you. All right.
Okay. 27.
27.
Mega Cavern.
One more.
Then we'll break for lunch.
And we'll break for lunch. All right. 3, 5, 1. 3, 5, 1. You know what to do. Right?
15. There you go.
Lunch is served. Outside of the door here. Enjoy meeting colleagues. Don't just sit with the people you work with. Sit with people you don't know. Meet new people. Enjoy lunch.
What was that one we couldn't find? What was the number we couldn't find? Take it off the board?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so then whoever's left at the end, we have